calling all educators with a passion for teaching and a health for faith. Get ready for a transformative journey with the Educators with Oil podcast, where host Ronnette Branham is dedicated to helping teachers become better through biblical strategies.
Oh, I'm off the stage. Whew, was I off the stage all the time? 1 second. So I don't know what's happening here. I don't even know. Okay, there I go. Oh, there I go. So we're going to talk about what drains us, right? So we're going to talk about an energy audit. Think about your week. What moments drained you, and maybe it was constant redirection, right? Redirection, or feeling like you're teaching through a fog. And what moments recharge you? Maybe a breakthrough with a student or laughter during a lesson. I know sometimes when I'm talking to students and I see that they get it, and then I'm excited. I'm like, oh yeah, we're fist bumping, and that excites me when students are getting when they were having a hard time. Even something as simple as yesterday, I was working with a student and we were getting letters. We were going over these letters, and I asked him 3 letters. I asked him more than that. He didn't know. Yeah, I teach second grade. Absolutely, I teach second grade. That shouldn't even be a thing, right? So I was asking him certain letters, and he knew the letters, and I was so excited. I had another student the other day, last week, where we were reading a book, right? And in the book, it was a new book to him. It wasn't really his level, it was about on his level. And he learned some words, we introduced some words at the beginning of the story, and he remembered those words. And he was excited, I was excited. We were working on phonics. He was excited, I was excited. I was so happy. So there are things that that happen in our classroom that give us strength. You know, there's always things that give us strength. And just think, we can stay. Here's the thing: we can't stay in the spot that drains us. We can't stay in that spot where the students are done. So we have to. We got lessons to teach, seeds to plant, joy to protect, and the word tells us in Nehemiah 8 and 10, the joy of the Lord is our strength. Take a break. Relax. I'm going too fast, right? I'm trying to read and I'm trying to grab my notes at the same time. So just take a break. I got this. Okay. Let me see. One second. I apologize one more time. I'm going to get this right. Okay. So ask yourself again, what drains you? Write it down. Journal about it. It this week, and commit to adjusting one habit that'll bring you back to that joy, because the joy of the Lord is our strength. Take a deep breath and invite God to show you areas where energy leaks and where he's already refilling you. Things are happening where he is actually refilling us. And that is where he's actually refilling us. So he is his joy is our strength. So we're going to reflect. Right? And write things down and see what happens. Journal, adjust one habit during the week, right? And so we're going to talk about how to keep our students engaged when both of you are running on fumes, and how to tap into a source of joy that never runs dry. So we're going to take a deep breath again, and we're going to say, Lord, refill me. And then we're going to discuss how we can be refilled. So we're going to start again. Then we're going to take that energy audit. Remember, energy audit. So we're going to find out what drains us and what fills us, what drives us and what drains us. So let's be honest. Teaching it can be emotional labor. I don't know who has children, who has had a child giving birth, that labor pains hurt. Sometimes it eases up a little bit, but there's pain, and that's teaching can be that. Sometimes we're stretched, feel like we're stretched thin. Sometimes we feel like this is a lot. And we then we had to take time to take a breath. So you're not just teaching content, you're managing moods, behaviors, personalities, and that takes our energy. And I remember when we had Natasha Grimes on, and she caused me to look at personalities. And I didn't understand before. I always thought about teaching styles, learning styles. How are the students learning? How do they learn? Do they need to touch? Do they need to have manipulatives? Do they need to talk it through? Do they need to just listen and they can get it? But she introduced me to learning about those personalities. And now my eyes are open and I'm looking at these personalities. How do we adjust to these personalities? And those personalities, and learning these personalities, can drain us. It can drain our energy. So we can name some of these drains. constant redirection, back-to-back meetings, lack of planning time. I know sometimes if you're a specialist or if you are a push-in type teacher, a lot of times you have to cover teachers if there's not enough substitutes. And so you don't get that planning time if that happens, right? Negativity in the staffing room. I'm learning because sometimes we have conversations that are negative and it's not helping us, because we get together and put our heads together, talk about everything bad that's happening, or why we can't, or why we have to work extra hard. Those things drain us. And I'm learning. I'm learning. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it together. But those things are there. Those are real. And try to do everything yourself. I had to learn last month. I was trying to figure out how to make my workday flow and how to make the curriculum flow together. Now I got it together. Put my heads together with somebody else. And now I still had to get some little things and parts working together. And so I was able to do that. So those are some things that drain us. And so what drives us? A lot of times we don't know what drives us, or we don't pay attention to what actually drives us. And like I just said a few minutes ago, seeing a student get it, that is exciting. Me and my students, we're fist bumping all day long when somebody gets something that they didn't. I had some students stay with me at lunch the other day because they wanted to learn how to work the hundreds chart so that when they did a math equation, they could get it right no matter what. Because we have other strategies, but this is one way, if you learn that hundreds chart, that you can answer those addition and subtraction questions right every single time, no matter what. You don't have to really know how to add. You just have to go down 10, go down 2 tens, move over ones. It's easy peasy. So when the students were getting it that came with me, they volunteered. I didn't take their lunch. They volunteered, then they went outside and they were excited. And we were so happy because they got it. Laughing in class, that's a driver. That gives us strength. Peace a peaceful morning worship when you get in the classroom. I know when I come to work early, right, I have that time and I can turn on my music and I can plan and do whatever it is I need if I get there early. But if I get there late and I'm rushing, you start off the day wrong already. Encouraging another teacher. I was talking to a teacher yesterday. I keep saying yesterday. Yesterday was a big day to me. Yesterday, I was talking to a teacher and she looked so good. She does the same thing that I did the last few years. And she used to walk around. She would have like this smile. It was so funny. It was like we did it together, this fake smile, like trying to make it. And this year I see her, she's different and she looks happy. And I told her that, yeah, you look good. You look like you're happy, right? So she has adjusted and learned how to make this thing work. And that's exciting. And I shared that with her. Then we discussed some things and why she's good. And she shared some things that is working for her. And so it just was exciting. And then feeling the presence of God in your classroom is a driver, right? It's a driver. It helps us when you look around, you like the opposite. When I was in my class last week, I told you about students were just off the wall all at the same time and even to the end of the day. And it was like, Lord, what's happening here? This is crazy. Like he's acting like a clown. She's acting like a clown. She won't sit down. He just keeps yelling out stuff that's random and it just didn't work. And so, but feeling that presence of God in your classroom is an amazing feeling. So here's the truth. You can't always remove every drain. Some of them not going anywhere. It's not happening. But you can intentionally pour into your drivers. What's driving you? You can intentionally pour into your driver. Like I said, I go back to that day. That was just like last Thursday. I don't know when it was, but it was last week, Monday, last Wednesday. It was a day I came and talked to you about it, and it was rough. It was rough. Then I had to get my peace. I had to find my peace and get into it. So, and I went in and I was telling God, I did everything. I did everything that I should do. We always have some things that we could still work on. But in general, overall, I did my job, but I still felt empty. And then he reminded me, you're running on your own strength. Plug that back into me. And I even talked about that with when Monique was on here. We were talking about how you feel so tired. I used to feel so tired because my goal was to work as hard as I could to move the needle in my classroom to my students to be ready for the third grade, no matter what. I don't care what anybody says. So I was tired every single day, but I worked that thing. And me and my students worked that thing. We had goals. I let them know what the goal was. This is where you are. This is where you need to be. And we're going to make this thing work. Students moved. They were ready for third grade. I say that I keep on referring back to that class because that was my last test class. And so now I'm working on it again. But I'm working on it differently this time. And so I had to plug back into God instead of me doing it, working so hard. If he tells me what to do, then I just do it. So that's when I started my daily audit last week. I started my daily audit. I asked myself at the end of each day, what drained me today? Did something drain me? What gave me joy today? There's some things that are giving us joy, some things that are draining us, and we need to identify, name, label those things. We're teachers. We know how to label things and put a name to something. We have to do that. Put a label to what's driving us, what's draining us, right? And over time, I noticed a pattern. And I noticed that it wasn't the kids draining me. These students are going to be acting like that. They're going to be doing what they want to do, saying what they want to say, walking around when they feel like walking around. So it's not even that. It's not even them draining me. It's my own perfection. 2 years ago, my principal said to me, I didn't know you were a perfectionist. And I'm like, I'm not a perfectionist. I don't know what she's talking about. That's not me. She got it mixed up. I'm thinking that absolutely has it mixed up. She mislabeled me. And I'm like, I'm not. And then I found out wanting to control everything, every aspect of what's happening, that's a form of perfection because you want your class to be perfect. You think that's not perfectionism, because I think perfectionism, when I feel perfectionism, everything has to be in order. Everything has to be in its place, even though it really does. But overall, I don't trip about stuff like that. But I do want to have control, right? And so I did up until it did, right? So I found out that was a form. But sometimes it wasn't the work. It was the way I was working. It really, you put in all this effort and trying to make this work. I have alarms for every minute. 15 minutes for this allotted, 20 minutes allotted for that, then the 40 minutes for this. My alarms are going off. If I step away from my phone, my students are bringing me my phone, talking about your phone is ringing. No, that's my alarm. Then some of them understand that's my alarm, right? So I challenge you to write it down this week, right? Track it for 5 days. Track what's working, what's draining you, what's driving you. Watch how many times, how much clarity God gives you when you name what drains you and honor what drives you. So you're going to get clarity. And once you get clarity with what's driving you, you pour more into that. Get more wins with your students. We know when our students can win. We actually do know how to teach our students so they can win. Sometimes it feels like we have so many students, or because of the way we're working, those cogs and wheels are not working the way they should because we don't have it working like a machine. But we sit down and plan our day, plan our time out and make it work. I'm telling you, I use that alarm clock. My alarm makes it work. So then I'm not rushing 5 minutes till the time. Okay, we have 5 minutes left to work on this, so that we're not rushing into the next thing. Oh, let's go. It's time to go. Because I tell my students that, and they're like, where we going? No, we got to go. Where are we going? We're going to gym. No, we have to stop this and we have to start something else. And we're rushing. We can't work like that. That doesn't, it's not effective. you think that it's effective and you think you're getting a job. It's not effective. You rushing for everything. Because I know I'm still working on the end of my day. I had set my alarms, but they take so long. And I think it's because of the amount of time I give them. If I cut everything off when I say I'm going to cut everything off, then it won't work. It won't feel so draining and rushed. So it's us, it's not them. Because if you give a student 20 minutes to work on something, they're going to take 20 minutes. If you give them 10 minutes, they're going to have to take 10 minutes. You say, okay, then they're going to get adjusted to that. So write down what drives you. And we can say, Lord, show me what drains my energy and what fuels it. Simple, simple, simple. You think God's not going to answer that? He will. I promise you he will. And so let's get practical, because when the energy is low, we need more that motivation. We need movement, right? When your energy is low, you can't, if you can't motivate yourself really into doing the next thing. You really have to get up and do it. You have to get up and move. That's how I learned, and that's what I'm talking about. So here's the truth. Engagement isn't about entertainment. So we don't have to entertain our students. You know, when I taught preschool, we had to entertain our students, right? We had to get them, but it's about ownership. And so when kids have ownership, their energy shifts. And this is one thing that I do partially, but I'm going to grab hold of it a different way, because I do it not for motivation, but some things that I do it because this is the way the student has to do it. Like if the student cannot spell too well, they're not on grade level reading and writing, I let them speak into the notes on their iPad, right? And so these are some things to get things moving. So one thing, I went too fast. So one thing, 2-minute movement breaks, right? These are lifesavers. Every 20 to 30 minutes, let your students stand, stretch, right? Or even move to a corner or move to a side of the classroom that answers a question. Everybody who agrees with this answer, move to the left. Everybody that agrees with that answer or disagrees with that answer, move to the right. And students will be excited because they want to have an opinion. They want to take ownership. This is me. They can copy off. They think, they might, depends on their age, move to where everybody is going just because, right? But instant engagement. That's instant engagement. Add choice. And this is where I was talking about the choice, right? Add choice. Give students the power and purpose, right? To answer questions. Instead of saying, write a paragraph, everybody write a paragraph, right? You already know some students are going to be frustrated with that, or they are not able to. It depends on the grade. They may have to make adjustments. So you could say, give them a choice. You could write a paragraph. Just say they're writing a definitions down, or they're explaining a story or whatever, doing a story map, anything. Depends on their age. They're doing a book report. Write a paragraph about what we read. Write a paragraph about this topic, right? Or you can draw a diagram, or you could record a 30-second video. Students will do it, right? They will be able to make a choice. Some students like to write. Some people love to record. Some people don't want to be on the camera at all, right? And then some people like to draw. So same learning objective, different energy, right? And the students will be working. And that is just something that's exciting to me, that we can give those choices. Student-led learning. How about introducing Teach Me Tuesdays? The students have learned a subject, a topic. Just say you're talking about science or social studies. Students have learned a topic. So let 1 or 2 students teach part of a lesson, a part of a mini lesson. It'll take a couple minutes, 3 minutes or so, and then they can teach a lesson. They'll be excited. On Tuesdays, we get to choose. Maybe you pull a name from the hat. Maybe it go down the list, and whoever wants to volunteer, volunteers. The ownership, the excitement. It changes the energy in the classroom. It really will. Teach Me Tuesdays is amazing because you have students who love to talk. Some students who have the gift of gab. They always want to talk, or they always want to explain something. Go from beginning to the end or talk about the whole subject. When you ask them one question, one specific question, they want to talk about the whole subject. That is something you can do, right? You could give them teach me Tuesday. I promise you that'll be a hit. If it is not a hit, you come back and tell me. Let me know if that's not a hit. I don't know what it will be, right? It has to be a hit. Let me see. Let me see. And so you could do rotate and refresh. Switch up the seating. Oh, you're going to work with this person today. You're going to work with that person today. You three are going to work with me starting off at the beginning, and they don't have to be in the same group, right? You're going to let the students work with somebody new. Energy flows where connection grows. So you think about the different students who can work together, who can't. Sometimes the friends don't work well together. I have had students who they think they're working well together, but they're talking and talking and talking, and it's a lot, right? So it doesn't really work. They think it's working, but it's not working for me. So that sometimes that happens again. And so have end of the week praise parties. Take 2 minutes on Fridays to celebrate wins. Play some music, some fun music. Share shout outs. If you're at a Christian school, pray together. But it creates joy. It creates a joyful close to the week. So especially playing music, sharing shout outs, talking about wins. Like I said earlier, we know how to get our students to win. And students learn this amount of words, this amount of words, learn this topic. They could explain it all. That is a win. Teach Me Tuesday it will be a great win for the end of the week. So think about your class right now. Where could you add a little more choice and movement? That I promise you, the atmosphere is going to change. The atmosphere is going to change, right? If you add some movement, you add some more choice. Just think about it, because here's the key. You're not an entertainer. You're the energizer. Your role is to create conditions where learning feels alive. And that's what we want, the learning to feel alive. We don't want the students to be drained. You're drained, everybody's drained. We're walking around whole hum all day. And that's not how it works. When I'm excited about something, I learn it. I learn more. When I'm excited, when I'm energized, I learn more. When I'm drained, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, right? So again, that's that mindset thing. And when you add movement and choice, your students stop being passive. They start participating. And guess what happens when they re-engage? Guess what? You re-engage too. I just want to go back. We can go deeper. I'm going to go back to that before I close, but we can go deeper, because this is where the oil flows, right? Nehemiah 8:10 says, the joy of the Lord is your strength. So we can unpack that. In that scripture, the people were weeping because they realized how far they drifted. Sometimes we gotta realize that, right? How far we drifted, right? And that don't cry, celebrate, right? That's what Nehemiah said. He said, don't cry, celebrate, because understanding the word, it gives us joy, right? This means joy is not a mood. It's not Friday vibes. Joy is a spiritual resource, right? That comes from understanding the connection that we have to God. So it's a resource. You grab that joy and it's going to give us strength. We think about who God is to us. It's going to give us strength. And it's not like, oh, I'm happy. No, I get joy from knowing that I get strength from him. And then we can move from there, right? It's where we learn. Joy doesn't come from perfect circumstances. That is another thing. We can't think about, like I said, our drainage is not coming from our students. It's coming from up here in our mind, where we're thinking about what's happening. And so it's not. So it comes from a perfect connection. So when we're connected perfectly, then we'll have that joy, because we know he's our strength, right? And he's our resource. Joy is it's what he gives us to make us work better, to make everything flow easy. So don't count on 7-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 14-year-olds to give you strength, because you're going to energize them. That's how that works. You can't be tired. You can be tired, but joyful, right? You can be overwhelmed and peaceful. You can be empty, yet still overflowing with divine strength. So you might feel drained. You might feel might feel drained, but when you grab that connection, where is your strength going to come from? You won't feel that drain. You'll feel overflowing. That is. Here's 3 joy refills that will keep your cup full. I got it. Before you scroll, pray. 1 verse, 1 song, 1 declaration. I have joy because God is my source. So this is for you before you get into that classroom. And that is something that we need to do. That's in the morning. When you first get up, before you get into that classroom. One more time. Pray. Don't scroll. Pray. Scroll not. 1 verse, 1 song, 1 declaration. I have joy because God is my source. Easy peasy. Midday, in the middle of the day, around, what time you get there, around 10:30, 11, 12, whatever your midday is. Whisper between the lessons, right? Before class, before subjects, topics, between classes. Lord, restore my joy, right? Whisper that. It's a reset button. It's like that thing when I said popping with the rubber band, where you think like, oh, wow, I noticed that. Let me pop that. Fast and effective. It's fast and effective because if you pause and say, restore my joy, right? You're thinking about it. So, you're drained really because of what you're thinking, not because of what's happening in the classroom. You're drained because of what you're thinking about what is happening or what you're doing, right? In the evening, at the end of the day, write 1 thing that drained you and 1 thing that made you smile. End of the day. Then give that drain back to God. Oh Lord, that drained me. Okay, we gonna work on that, right? We're gonna work on that. So you can have that. Matter of fact, you can have that. There's something we learned yesterday. We had a meeting yesterday afternoon after school, and the person, the facilitator, she was talking about taking a problem and I don't know, sitting back. It's like a mindful thing, and blowing that problem to the wind like it's a cloud and blowing it away. So that's 1 thing we're going to do. We're going to take that, what's draining us, to give it to God, right? There was a week when I felt like I was completely gone. I said a week, 2 years ago. I don't know how many. It was 2 years ago. I quit my job. In my head, in my mind, I told my boss to, so she knew about it. 5 times in a day, like several days at a time. I tell her I stopped by her office. I quit 5 times today, just so that you know that, right? I actually quit. I was not coming back. I made it up in my mind. That was it, right? And then the Lord, I told him, I can't do this. This makes no sense. So then I still heard him talk. I heard him. And he said, you're right. You can't, right? But I can through you. So let me do it through you. Let me make this work, right? Let me do this. So that broke me in the best way. It made me think. I started to laugh and cry, right? At the same time, because his joy truly was my strength. So protect your joy, family. Guard it like it's treasure. We talked about that last week, protecting our peace and guarding our peace, but protect that joy like it's treasure, because your joy isn't just for you. It's for your classroom. It's for your students. It's for your school. It's for your district. You think that it's not for the people in your school, your joy? You were placed in that place. When you're full of joy, your students learn better, right? They learn better. So let's tie it all together, right? When purpose meets the classroom, oil flows, power flows. We're gonna keep on working on that. So ask yourself, what did I say? Why did I say yes to teaching? Maybe it was a calling, maybe a passion, maybe you just love kids. I don't know why you did it, but go back to that why. I know Monique talks about that why. Is that why still the same thing? Do you still want that why? Is that really, do you like that why? Because remember, your why, it ignites your how. So you say, why am I teaching? I'm teaching because I came across so many students who didn't know how to read. I came across students who I wanted to help, or I just am a natural born teacher. That's me. I'm a natural born teacher. This is all I can do. This is what I do. I'm a teacher. And I learned from something else that I'm what you call an air traffic controller. So that when you use the drive assessment, I'm an air traffic controller and partially a pilot. So I directed, right, what's happened. That's teaching. And then I still got to bring that thing home, drive that plane and let that plane land. So that's part of being a teacher. That sounds like teacher all the way around. So, right, that's what I found out. And so here's something I do. I keep journal. Yeah, God moments in my journal, right? I keep it. So whenever something beautiful happens, I write it, right? You can have a whole other journal, God moments journal, but I put my God moments in here, right? A student breakthrough, a parent's thank you, a prayer answered. I write it down. You go, this you got to get this journal. This is just something that helps you think and put your thoughts down and go back and reminisce. I'm gonna keep on talking about that journal because it's amazing, right? Right. Because on hard days, I need proof. I need proof to go back and say, God, you did that. You sure did that. Huh. I felt you right there on that day. On 10/15. This is what you did. Right? Oh my goodness, right? I heard what you said, and I used 2 Samuel 7. I'm talking about that's what it is, right? So I have to have proof that he did that I remember. So you'd be surprised at what he did, right? You'll be surprised at what you see and notice after that. You see. So just remember to do that. So you'll be surprised how much joy comes from, remembering what God did. That's just like Psalm 77 says, I will remember the works of the Lord. Right? When you remember, you reignite. Gratitude refuse that joy. And that is true. If you are one of those people who write down how they're grateful, what they're grateful for every day, you'll notice that. It will fuel you, right? It will definitely fuel you. Let me see. So we said we went over that. So purpose plus presence equals power. And that is something that's real. That's something that's real. You're not just teaching content, you're cultivating character. You're not just managing behavior, you're modeling faith. You're not just filling brains, you're planting seeds. And even when it feels like nothing's working, your oil is still flowing. So you might feel like nothing is happening, but your oil is still flowing. The students still notice it, right? So let's bring it home. When your students' energy is gone and yours is too, remember this. You don't need more hype. You need more joy. What do you need? You don't need people hyping you up, saying, you got this, let's make this work. You need any of that. You just need more joy. Joy of the Lord is your strength, and it will strengthen you. Remember that you're connected to God. That connection is what gives us joy, right? Audit what drains you. Audit what is draining me. Write down some things that wasn't good, or wait till the end of the day, or just make a little note, right? Keep your little notepad, put it in your pocket, and notice what's draining you, and move, add more movement, right? And choice. Anchor yourself to the joy of the Lord and reconnect with your why, because you're not out of energy. You're due for a refill, right? And so also, I want to go back real quick. When we say that, what drink, add more movement, we had a few things. Add more movement, have the students every 20, for every 20, 30 minutes, have them get up, stretch, stand up tall, stretch, do what they need to do, get some energy flowing, right? Another thing, ask them, if you agree with this answer, move to the left side of the classroom. If you disagree, move to the right side of the classroom, right? Give them choices for assignments. Maybe instead of saying everybody write a paragraph, right? Everybody write a paragraph. You could write a paragraph, or you could make a diagram, or you could make a 30-second video about this topic. Students love choice. You could introduce Teach Me Tuesdays, or call it whatever you want to teach Me Tuesdays is easy. So give the students 3 minutes during a mini lesson where they could actually teach the lesson, tell you about a topic, tell you everything they know about this. Say you're talking about turtles. Some students know so much about turtles. Grasshoppers. We were talking about a book that was about grasshoppers. Students were telling me so much that I didn't even know, right? They were just going on and on and on. So you can do that. So we have a reflective prayer, really quick. Lord, thank you for being our strength when our energy fades. When our classrooms feel heavy, let your joy lift us up again. Fill every educator listening with supernatural joy, not happiness that fades, but holy joy that sustains. Let laughter return to our classrooms, right? We need more laughter in our classrooms. Let creativity flow again. Teach us to pour from overflow, not emptiness. And remind us daily that the joy of the Lord is our strength. Our connection to you is our strength. Our connection to you gives us joy as we think about who you are to us. In Jesus' name, amen. So, family, you are equipped, anointed, and refueled. Your classroom doesn't need a perfect teacher. It needs a joyful one. And that is the truth. It needs a joyful one. So go out there and teach with purpose, laugh with your students, and let the oil flow. Until next time, keep that oil flowing. And again, if you remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoyed this, episode, let someone know. Tell somebody, share it with somebody. Remember to hit that notification button, and then you can find us on all different podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, Spotify. We are there if you like listening to your podcast. If you like watching and tuning in on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe, hit that notification button. And remember to let that oil flow. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. And remember also, I keep on saying remember, Educators with the Oil Journal on Amazon.com. Get yours today. There are absolutely three books. The first one is The First Pour, and that one is ready for all three of them are ready. You get the first one, and then you get the other two. And then also leave a comment. Say if you enjoyed the podcast or not on YouTube. I'm looking for the comments. That will make me feel good. That will let me know that you were here and that you enjoyed the episode. You got something from the episode. Thank you, and have a blessed rest of your day.
Subscribe to Educators with Oil podcast on your preferred platform and join Ronnette on this mission to empower teachers through the wisdom of the Bible. Because when biblical strategies meet the classroom, extraordinary teaching happens.
Educators, let's shine a light on our classrooms. See you on Educators with Oil podcast, where teaching and faith unite.